This is a map of the EU as of 2020, with all the 27 countries in the EU as of that date. The plan, or the map, was given to me by one of my readers, Stanley Max from Towson University, and he asked me to integrate some of the data that he'd found on Wikipedia of the population, area and density, and could I make the plain map and the figures actually more interesting. So I've created these shapes in Visio, and this one here enables me to, for example, if I just zoom in on there, it enables me to select a country and it will bring up the stats for that particular country along with the flag of that country. This one at the top here is a header shape, and it just gives me the whole of the EU. And then each of these map shapes, the base shapes, are downloadable from Microsoft website, but they've now got in the area and the population, and then it calculates automatically its percentage of the total population of area. So by having these shapes and the ones along the bottom, which are also linked into the selected one, so within the page, if I select a particular country, let's say Bulgaria, then those other shapes react to that selection within the page. So Bulgaria gets highlighted within the list at the top there, and the country gets highlighted, and the stats of the particular country get displayed below there. So we've got all of these shapes responding to a custom property or shape data within the page. And once we've got that set up, there are some interesting things we can do with Visio if you've got Plan 2. Everything here, by the way, works in standard Visio, or Visio standard, and also works in Visio for the web, and you're doing the selection. So now that I've got these linked up, Visio Plan 2 has some very interesting extras. Under the View tab, we've got this Export to PowerPoint. Now, what Export to PowerPoint gives you is the ability of defining areas and give them a title. And then when you do an export into PowerPoint, you get those areas copied out into it, create individual slides. That's all well and good. And in fact, I have got an add-in which enables you to add in the extra information that you might want along with each slide. If I was just to pause every one of these, for example, we can see that there is a tooltip there which is in pseudo markdown language, and that will get exported into the slides using the SS Plus add-in too. But having got that, and that information is being stored within Visio document itself, I could actually play that information as with a macro. So if I, for example, decided I wanted to run this slides as a presentation, I can just run a macro and it will run all of those slide snippets. In this case, I'm doing it so it is in page view, and it goes around, saves me having to do the selection myself. I'll just pause that now. I will upload the full video of that running later. But also, you can run this in situ, and what we mean by that is that it doesn't go off into Visio's presentation mode, which you can do with an F5. In this case, it's going to use those slide snippets to just zoom in and make a selection. So now that I've got that, I can run that in situ, and it'll go through and choose the countries, and we can read the information about the country, obviously in the shape data window, as we're going through. And that's also cool, and I'll also upload that video too. There is another feature in Visio Plan 2. If you go to the Process tab in there, and we've got this Export to Word. And that's very similar to the PowerPoint export, but in this case you can set up the filters for which shapes you want it to actually include. And I'm excluding 1D shape connectors and excluding shapes without shape text on them, for example. And it will create me a preview of all of the other shapes. and you can then choose to exclude some of them. So unfortunately, I've had to exclude United Kingdom by simply going to the one image here and choosing, I did an exclude, so it's now saying include. Unfortunately, I can't include it back into Europe because we made the mistake of leaving Europe. So that way we can also create these export to Word areas and shapes. And again, we could run slides from that information, either again in presentation mode or in situ. And again, I'll up those two. So you can have a look at those and go and see how this is done and in my blog. Thank you.